Welcome back in 3HL 104.5 The Zone. SEC Media Days at the College Football Hall of Fame. Our broadcast presented by Brentwood Hearing Center, BrentwoodHearingCenter.com. The man, the myth, the legend, Tom Hart joins us now, SEC Network. Tom, what's up? How are you?
Man, what a week it's been. We're deep enough in this thing, I thought it'd be over by now.
Do you think the commissioner gets tired?
Yeah. He gets tired of stupid questions.
He literally, all he has to do is do the address he did on Monday and then leave, right? I mean, he doesn't need to spend time at tables.
I saw him, when did this thing start? Monday? I saw him Monday night, kind of late-ish, and he's like, all right, I got that out of my way. Now I got to take more stupid questions. He didn't really say that. I thought he did a great job when this thing started of addressing the issues that needed to be addressed without really giving anything away, right? I mean, he's a really bright guy. We all know that. He's got plans, and they got things in the works. Who knows what that is? But he's going to share it when he cares to share it, and he's going to share it when it is a beneficial time for the conference to share what those plans are.
I like the little things that he throws in there. Like somebody was asking about expanding beyond 16 and, the Super League idea, and his quote was, "We are a Super League."
Oh, I laughed out loud.
And then he just paused, and it was just beautiful.
Yeah. You got to listen to not only what he says, but what he doesn't say. One of the things he hit on is that this league is made up of contiguous states, right? Like, we're not going to jump over and add a team, say, from Oregon, right? Or from Washington. But it's also a jab at the Big Ten. Like, you guys are going to fly from Lincoln, Nebraska to Los Angeles, and that's the closest opponent they have? Real smart. In the spring, when he talked about, it was kind of floated out there, well, we might just have our own playoff. What was everyone's reaction? Well, in reality, you can't have your own playoff because you don't have enough teams. But then the next step is, maybe you're going to gobble up more pieces on the monopoly board than you could. So it's all about kind of reading between the lines when you listen to him.
A couple of his other little read between the lines or whatever. I mean, like jabbing at the NCAA because he's like, hey, I warned everybody basically that this is going to happen with NIL if there's nothing done to make sure that all states have the same regulation, so I felt like it was also hey, come on, NCAA, we knew this was coming. And
that wasn't just the NCAA. That was also a slam against local politicians and states.
Yes.
We told you all, don't go out and make state laws that are going to limit where you are, and now you realize that your state is not competitive, and you've had to already go back and change those laws?
Right.
Yeah.
Listen, we know how this business works.
And you're behind.
Yes.
This is the other part of
behind, yes.
Also, does the addition of Oklahoma and Texas trump the Big Ten adding UCLA and USC? He answered yes, and then paused. And I thought that was beautiful,
doesn't need to add to it.
No.
Let it breathe.
So what do you think ends up happening? Because they do leave themselves wiggle room when they talk about being comfortable at 16.
But nimble.
Thoughtful, which I love.
Yeah, which is that sounds like me at ordering my dinner, right? Like I go to a restaurant, I'll be thoughtful about it, but nimble. Like if the special is really good, I'll pivot off that filet. I don't know what ends up happening. And I think we're all just limited by our own imagination, right? Like nobody would have imagined that the Big Ten would add Los Angeles as a market and add those two teams. I think that they have to be very careful, the SEC does, about how they answer questions about Texas and Oklahoma first and foremost. He said on Monday, well, that's the Big 12's decision. Because the minute he says we'd like them here sooner, well, then all of a sudden you open yourself up to litigation.
Right.
You're trying to lure them away. Everything comes down to money. Write a check, they can leave. But once the balance of the money makes sense, and if the Big 12's happy with it, and they come over here and make more money, maybe when the new media contract kicks in, that's part of it. So what's next? What's next is how creative and powerful the lawyers can be with the ACC grant of rights, and without boring everybody. But the bottom line is, if the number is $500 million, can you recoup your losses? How long does it take you to make your $500 million back? Right? It's just like.
And is it worth it?
Any other investment, yeah. And my answer is, if you're Clemson, if you're Florida State, it's absolutely worth it, because even though you're going to borrow, right? Let's just think about buying a house, whatever. Eventually, that's an investment in and of itself. You're going to make money back at 3 times the rate that the ACC schools are making money. So it's not a 1-to-1 deal. It's a 3-to-1. And if you can make 3 times what the other guy's making, that adds up. So here's the difference. Like, let's say you and your buddy graduate high school together and you both take jobs and one of you's making 30 grand and the other guy's making 100 grand. Well, that's a big difference right there. And by the way, those are millions if you're talking about conferences. But guess what? In a few years, the guy who's making 30 grand, maybe he's splurged and he's got a couple jet skis. The other dude's got a lake house.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
Oh, you can tow your jet skis over to my house where I also have a boat.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference.
Store them here and everything. Yeah,
Come on.
exactly.
Come
Tom
on
Hart
over.
from ESPN, the SEC Network, with us on 3HL. It's going to be interesting to see with the news that came out earlier in the week. I think Dennis Dodd had it, Brett McMurphy also, but that the Big 12 told the Pac-12 that they're not going to merge, right?
Yeah.
But they leave the door open to go poach Pac-12 schools. I'm curious how that affects things. And I think McMurphy mentioned Colorado, Utah, Arizona State. Like, how does that change things if that happens?
Yeah. Pete Thamel had the story Monday night, and, he's not talking to people.
Okay,
he's
yeah,
talking
Pete
to
Thamel.
commissioners.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
he's getting this – that guy's the best in the business right now in college football reporting. That was a huge non-event, right? Because if they would have found a way to partner together that made financial sense, that solidifies who they each are, and that impacts what you do from the CFP going forward. Because let's assume it stays at 12. Sankey has finally said, like, I don't care if it's 4, 8, or 12. You're not getting automatic qualifiers anymore. The best teams are going to get in. We negotiated that. We had an agreement. It's gone. They're going to get back to that depending on what the landscape looks like. So the Pac-12 and Big 12 would be wise to accept that if it came with an automatic berth in the playoff, no matter how big it is.
Right.
Since that's not happening, does the Big 12 exist in does the Pac-12 exist in 2026 once a new playoff starts? That's up for debate. And
No.
if they are a shell of themselves, are they getting an automatic berth, or would the Oregons and Utahs of the world have to fight to get an at-large?
Right,
and that's a
because
huge loss.
Not all conference champions are created equally.
Right, and the fact that those conferences, the Pac-12, Big Ten, fine, but the Pac-12 and the ACC didn't take the offer when it was in front of them to go to 12 and get their champion an automatic berth. One of the all-time blunders in the history of sports.
Crazy.
Tom Hart with us on 3HL. I mean, if you do go super conferences, that's one big fat boom boom room, I guess, right?
Yeah,
Hey.
it'd be the biggest boom boom room.
Uh-huh. That's the biggest party on earth then.
How
Georgia
big
and
can
Florida
a
ain't got
boom
nothing
boom
to do
room
with
be?
As big as they want it. That little cocktail party down in Jacksonville ain't got nothing on this.
But only people you want to be with. So that's what you.
It's
Invite
invitation-
only.
Because it's
invitation
your
only.
room.
That's right. It's kind of like the SEC. We bang our chest and let you know, hey, it's us. We lead this group.
All right. So here's my question: as a
Okay.
Tennessee guy,
Mhm.
think of it in the boom boom room vernacular. There comes a time where you've invited people to your party that they got to go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Do we ever get to a point where somebody knocks on, pulls Vandy aside and they say, "Hey, we ain't got room in here for you anymore.
Hey,
You gotta go."
I'm gonna tell you what.
What-
You eating
what-
too much shrimp cocktail? Beat it.
or Missouri.
I'm gonna tell you what.
Draw
And see,
back.
that's what I was going. See, he had the right colors. It was just wrong schools. But just saying, hey, man, listen. If that is ever the case, though, it's a conversation to be had because it is. I mean, it's some more pretty pictures that can go in the boom boom room. We call it pictures. You can line the walls with pretty pictures, and there's a couple teams out there that we like to see on the wall. But I think
But that one picture
we could hold them. We could hold
has
them.
been in the family for
Yeah,
a long time.
And there's nothing wrong with getting relocated. Just because you don't see them when you walk in the living room in the boom boom room don't mean that they ain't upstairs in the hallway leading to the bedroom. So,
Or in the guest bathroom or something.
Or
Yeah.
just hanging out by the trash.
I don't know about
That's just part of it.
I don't know about the bedroom in the boom boom room.
No, that's all go together. They all go together.
That's a boom boom boudoir right there. I don't think they're going to get to that point
Yeah.
in the near future. I think what is more concerning is being inclusive in a sense that fan bases are invested in the sport.
Yeah.
And how do you guarantee that? Well, why would you be invested in the college football playoff if you're a West Coast fan right now? Pac-12 hasn't sent anybody. They don't play. There's not. Right. So who cares?
Right.
It's very easy to lose your interest, and we all think about it because of the conference that we deal with and the part of the country we're in. Well, that everybody must love college football.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
Right.
They're not the way we ingest it, and so there's still fans to be had and fans you have to hold on. And I'm afraid if you go super conferences and you're like the elite super conferences and you're down to 46 teams, well, then you just capped your fan base.
Yeah.
The NFL is the NFL, but even they've expanded over the years.
True. Let me ask you this, Tom.
That's a great point.
Is it any way for this to bleed over into basketball? With the ACC, which would, as far as tradition goes, being able to hold on to something and say, okay, we would like to create our own super league, and they reach out to basketball schools with tradition and able to pull it away. If we were going to separate like that, football had their own, basketball had their
Kansas,
own. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Could that happen in basketball? Because I'm a little jealous, and you just killed my whole jealousy.
Yeah, no, the answer is no. I'm going to go Greg Sankey.
Thanks, Cubit.
There just isn't. There is money in college basketball in terms of viewership in the postseason.
Right.
A lot of people watched that national championship game this year.
Yeah.
A lot of people watched St. Peter's knock off Kentucky and that little mini run that went on. But the importance of the regular season has fallen off a cliff. I'll tell you what, we go to our college basketball seminar at ESPN, they tell us there are 11 regular season games that matter.
Yeah.
In all the games they cover. And what they mean by that is there's 11 games that we can sell and market to our best sponsors that pay for everything else. And there's just not enough money in it.
That's tough. That's hurtful.
Let's get back to football
That
here.
hurt me.
I know it does.
I'm going to walk out of here in a minute. You know the boom boom room when you talking about kicking people out? Y'all know it's a door right there, right? You can stay.
Are you asking me to
You
leave?
can stay.
No,
You
he's
can
trying to
stay,
boot me out.
Don't kick him out. That's
No,
like one of my favorite things.
They know who it is.
Tom Hart
It's
loves
Babsy. I almost put Babsy out.
He's trying to
I'm
kick
trying
me
to put her
out.
out. She went back to football.
Gone
Me and
with
Tom
that.
having a good conversation about
Sorry.
basketball.
I know.
It doesn't mean more.
It always means more. It just means more, just not in
I just
basketball.
pop my back.
Tom,
Yes.
can anybody beat Alabama this year? in
Oh,
the
sure.
SEC?
Yeah.
Who's
But-
it going to be?
I mean, A&M beat them last year,
Yeah.
right? Auburn almost beat them,
Yeah, I know.
right? Well, and
Is
how
that
does
gonna
that
happen
how
this
does that
year?
change the narrative of what everything's
Ooh.
going on in the Plains?
Yeah.
Tennessee's got an offense where if they match up with them, they could beat. There's a lot of teams that could beat Alabama in a single day, but not enough to knock them off of out of the championship. I just think you're returning a quarterback who is unflappable. He is game changing. He's awesome. You got the best coach that's ever coached in the game. It's the easiest pick in sports. Who's going to win the division? Alabama. Now, I was at the SEC championship game. They looked a whole lot better than Georgia that day.
Right.
Those two playing in Atlanta again will be another heavyweight title fight, and we'll see what happens. But Alabama's just too good. They're too invested in the culture there.
Also, I'm not sure Will Anderson's not the best football player in the country.
Here's my question with Will Anderson. Does he? And this is not I don't want to come across as taking a swing at the guy, whatever. But you just have to look at it realistically. What did Jadeveon Clowney do his final year at South Carolina? He pulled the throttle back and he said, I got a lot invested in my future, and I need to make sure that I'm in the right condition to cash that check, so to speak.
That's true.
Huh.
What does Will
I
Anderson have to gain by having another year like he did last year?
That's a good point because he gave off a different aura to me, and I know that's right here we're talking that the games ain't being played, but I automatically went to a guy that kind of had a chip on his shoulder. If you wanted to point at not having a Heisman, and just being talented out of all this world, like I think it's something special there. I'm not sure he could pull back. Jadeveon, it looked like he had moments where you'd be like, okay, I did enough. Like he was at South Carolina.
Yes.
And when he was with the Titans.
And just speaking of college, but I look at Will and I'm like, man, I don't know if he feels like he did enough. You know, especially the way they went down. I think if they would have capped it off with a championship coming back, I think it would have been a little different for him.
I think the insulation there is Nick Saban runs a program where they have such program pride.
Yeah.
I don't mean to say it's all altruistic.
Right.
Like it's based upon the fact, well, if I've earned a starting spot in this program, that means I'm a first-round pick.
Yeah.
Like what's good for you is good for the program as a whole. But, yeah, that competition within the program, the program pride, that's a place you're going back to for the next 50 years. I hope you're right.
Yeah.
And I think if anyone can protect that, it's Saban. But what throws a wrinkle into it, whether you're Will Anderson or anybody else, is if you do get injured, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying one that ends your season, but if you get an ankle.
Yeah, a lingering injury. Yeah.
Okay, well, hold on a second. Now I'm not showing what I can on tape because this thing's slowing me down. Maybe it's wise to – but whatever. That's a really negative – I hate myself
totally
for
different.
bringing that up.
That's totally different. I saw that happen with I hate to go all the way back dinosaur years, but John Henderson. I was roommates with him, and he was coming off the Outland Trophy. He could have left that year, decided to come back. Second game of the season, got cut low, and it changed his entire season. Not because he wanted to pull back, but just because it was a lingering injury.
How big were the mattresses in that room? Well, what are we talking about? Like those two biggest
Hey,
dudes.
man, what is wrong with you, man?
You all were roommates, like in the dorm or like in an apartment?
No, we had moved off. Listen, I'm with an Outland Trophy winner. You think we living in a dorm?
Well, year one maybe, but no, it doesn't take long.
That's right. That's all I'm saying. We had a nice little condo, a split duplex.
Oh, okay.
Split.
He had one, I had one. And I wasn't no Outland Trophy winner. I just rolled my
you're
boy.
not a roommate when you got separate addresses.
We had to walk through the same house, the same door,
Okay.
and then it split off, and then you opened up your own door. So I can't give y'all too many secrets.
6A and 6B.
What? Speaking about Big John here, Tennessee. Tennessee fans obviously very excited about the promise of this year. We somebody who sat and chatted with us, who was it, said 10-win season possibly.
Sure.
What do you think?
Oh, Jim Nagy.
Jim Nagy
said
said
that.
Oh yeah, Nagy with the Senior Bowl.
I mean the by the way, he's got great hair, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Man, that's a good-looking man.
He hustles too. He's everywhere I see him. I mean,
You
everywhere I
have
look.
good hair too.
We're hanging on. We're hanging on by a thread. Like we're fighting this good fight every day. Why not Tennessee, right? Like I was more impressed with their season last year than when we sat here, well, not here, but here on this date. It's like they lost 30 dudes to the transfer portal, including running back, offensive lineman, starting middle linebacker, who's going to play for Alabama. How can you be as good as you? So I was so impressed with what Josh Heupel did and the way they put it together, and it seemed like buy-in is a buzzword. Like I don't usually subscribe to that, but he just kind of changed it in a minute. And I think that offense is a big part of it. They found a quarterback. It's explosive. They put up big numbers. There are a lot of really good quarterbacks in this league, but South Carolina's got one. They could beat anybody. You could ruin anybody's Saturday, right? And certainly Tennessee's got that opportunity offensively.
Tom Hart, ESPN, SEC Network, found a way to go into the Boom Boom Room without getting in the Boom Boom Room.
I saw him lurking
Well
around the
done.
neighborhood, though.
Yeah.
We kept on saying, it's a car. It's a white car to keep on going around the neighborhood. Who is that? And
It's
lo and
Tom
behold, it was
Tom
you.
Hart.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like to. I roll with the window down so people can see me, right? Like,
The
Oh,
hair.
yeah.
with
Oh,
the
yeah,
dreads.
come on, man. You cool.
I might just buy a convertible. You know,
Car ain't got no roof. That's right.
There we go.
That's another one. That's right. Yeah, Tom. You
You
know
gonna
what
hit
to
him with a
do.
lock the door,
Raindrop.
too?
Yeah,
Drop top.
all right. Yeah.
Thank you, Tom. Good stuff, man. Appreciate you.
this is the best Wednesday
All
ever.
right.
Thanks, fellas.
Tom Hart. All right, more 3HL next.